It's not difficult to see why Kelly Ripa has spent the last 25 years as host of Live. A natural blend of wit, enthusiasm, and inquisitiveness was evident from her first appearance as a guest host alongside Regis Philbin in 2000. It was evident then and now as Ripa immediately begins asking the questions during our discussion that that's who she is. I don't care if it's the flight attendant on the plane or the person that I just met standing in line at Starbucks, she says. I want to know the origin story of the person. Ripa's origin story with Liv begins in 2000 when Philbin's co-host of 15 years, Kathie Lee Gifford, departed. There was a slew of people, Gloria Estefan, Rosie O'Donnell, Lisa Rinna, and Whoopi Goldberg, to name a few, in the rotation as guest hosts in the following months. Ripa wasn't one of them. Ripa had been playing the scrappy Haley Vaughn on ABC's All My Children for a decade, and unbeknownst to virtually everyone, she was expecting her second child with husband Mark Consuelos. But while she wasn't looking for the hosting gig, she filled in one day, and it was clear she was the front runner for the spot from her first appearance. 3 months later, the show was rebranded Live with Regis and Kelly. She'd sit next to Philbin for the next 10 years until he left the show in 2011. Michael Strahan and Ryan Seacrest occupied the chair next to Ripa in the years that followed. Then, in 2023, the perfect partner came along, Ripa's real-life one. This time, there were no co-host auditions. Consuelos, who had regularly filled in on the show over the years, was made the permanent co-host on April 17, 2023. Now, Ripa looks back at her start on Live and her future. She even turned to Oprah Winfrey, who left her daytime show in 2011 after 25 years, for advice. Will you remember of your first time guest hosting? My first day was the day after Halloween. The only reason that sticks out in my head is because Mark and I knew we were pregnant. We hadn't told anyone. They tell you at the show, come with something to talk about for the host chat. I was like, I have a lot to talk about because I just took a 3-year-old trick-or-treating. There was a psychic on the show, Char Margolis, that we were going to be interviewing. She came out and told the world I was pregnant. You were on All My Children for 11 years when Kathie Lee Gifford decided to leave. Did someone come to you and say you should try out? I knew I was pregnant with our second child, and working on a soap opera is an extraordinarily demanding schedule. I was like, I don't think I can do this with 2 kids. It's not fair to me, and it's not fair to the kids. My contract at All My Children had 1.5 years left, and I decided at that point that I would just stop working and raise my kids. I wasn't paying attention at all to the Kathie Lee of it all. I certainly wasn't looking for that job. But you were convinced. I think part of the reason I was attractive in any way is because I was the one person not pushing to get an audition for that show. My boss at the time was Angela Shapiro. She said, I think you should fill in for Kathie Lee. And I was like, Angela, I'm exhausted. What I didn't tell her was, I'm pregnant and I'm exhausted. Then she said, we had somebody cancel. I did it, I had fun, but was not on my radar at all to do that show. I guess there was an audience response to me. I really never thought about it again, and then I got a call right away to come back and do it again. The rest was history. I think by December they were already negotiating my contract. It was very fast. I think I had hosted 3 times and then they signed me to a contract. Did your nerves immediately kick in? When there's something at stake, a far greater pressure is on you when you are a co-host versus when you're just a fill-in person. I felt terrified. Maybe the 8th year? It took me a while to not feel terrified. It really took a long time to get comfortable. What surprised me about Mark is how comfortable and good at it he was immediately. Where it took me 8 years to become comfortable, it took him maybe 8 days. When did you realize that this was going to be something you'd be doing for a long time? When I tell you I never knew it was going to be a long-term thing, I'm still on the fence about it being a long-term thing. The fact that we are celebrating my 25th anniversary does not seem real to me. In the early days of Live, you were still on All My Children, then did 3 years of Hope and Faith. Right now, you have this and your podcast on top of home responsibilities. How would you describe your work ethic? I'm always busy. I always work. I feel like I burned out for a while because I was offered a lot of things after the sitcom that I turned down outright. They were big things. I was like, wait, why did I take this talk show in the beginning? Because it allowed me the opportunity to be a present parent while still earning a living at the end of the day. So I went back to that. You interview so many people. Who is the last person that made you nervous? They all get me excited. The reason I've been able to maintain longevity in this job is because I assume the role of the person at home that is excited. I've always been curious about people. And I don't care if it's the flight attendant on the plane or the person that I just met in line at Starbucks. I want to know the origin story of the person, no matter who it is. If Madonna comes on, I'm up at night planning how I can try to look cool in front of her. I guess that's the exception. How much longer do you want to keep hosting the show? Let me give Oprah credit. She left her show at the 25-year mark, and I said to her, should this be my signal? She's like, don't leave. Don't do it. Right now, you'll regret it. She said, with you and Mark, the dynamic, the show is more important than ever. People really relate to it, and they need that in this world of a lot of darkness and an endless 24-hour, never-ending news cycle. I need to actually ask her, you said not to leave at 25, but what year? What are we thinking? Give me an idea of how far beyond 25 I should go. But I always say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We are really having a very good time. So no end date in sight? I want to see this show stay on the air as long as linear TV lives. The show is far more important than any two hosts, so I just want the show to live forever because it's a really, really great piece of history. It's also a great way for people to have worry-free TV that they can watch with their kids. The origin story of Kelly Ripa and Liv begins in 2000, though at the time, she didn't know it. For 15 years, Kathie Lee Gifford had sat beside Regis Philbin, forming one of daytime TV's most iconic duos. When Kathie Lee announced her departure, the show entered a transitional phase. Big names rotated through the guest chair: Gloria Estefan, Rosie O'Donnell, Lisa Rinna, Whoopi Goldberg. Kelly Ripa was not among the frontrunners. At the time, she was still playing Haley Vaughn on All My Children, a role she had embodied for more than a decade. She was pregnant with her second child, a secret known only to her and her husband, Mark Consuelos. She was exhausted. She was fulfilled. She was not looking for a new career. In fact, she had already decided she might stop working altogether once her soap contract ended. Raising two children while juggling the grueling schedule of daytime drama didn't seem sustainable. Then the phone rang. Her boss suggested she fill in for a day. I'm exhausted, she had protested, leaving out the part about morning sickness and secrecy. But someone had canceled. They needed her. So she went. And in one of television's most fateful accidents, everything changed. The psychic who spilled the secret. Her first appearance as guest host happened the day after Halloween in 2000. She remembers it vividly, not because of ratings or applause, but because she and Mark had just discovered they were expecting. Producers told her to come prepared with something for host chat. I've got plenty, she thought. She'd just taken a 3-year-old trick-or-treating. Then came the segment with psychic Char Margolis. Live television is unpredictable, but no one expected this. Char looked at Kelly. You're pregnant. On national television, Kelly froze. The audience gasped. Somewhere, Mark probably nearly fainted. Just like that, her private joy became public knowledge. It was chaotic. It was unscripted. It was perfectly live. And something about her reaction, authentic, flustered, funny, made viewers fall in love. She wasn't polished. She wasn't campaigning for the job. She wasn't trying to be anyone else. She was simply herself. 3 guest appearances later, contract negotiations began. By February 2001, the show had been rebranded, Live with Regis and Kelly. She was 30 years old. And terrified. The 8-year fear. People assume comfort comes quickly to natural performers. It didn't for her. When there's something at stake, she explains, the pressure is greater. Being a fill-in host is low risk. If you stumble, it's temporary. Being permanent, that's different. She was sitting next to Regis Philbin, a broadcasting legend with decades of experience. Millions watched daily. Every misstep felt monumental. She smiled through it. She joked through it. She survived it. But inside, I felt terrified. Not for weeks. Not for months. For years. It took me maybe 8 years to not feel terrified. 8. That confession surprises people. Because by then, she was already a fixture in American homes. Already winning daytime Emmys. Already steering the show with ease. But internal confidence lagged behind external success. And that may be part of why audiences trusted her. She never pretended she had all the answers. A decade with Regis. Her partnership with Regis lasted 10 years. It was generational. It was cultural. It was magic. He was old-school broadcasting polish. She was fresh, irreverent spontaneity. They teased each other. They disagreed. They laughed a lot. When Regis stepped down in 2011, the end of an era felt real. But Kelly stayed. Not because she was clinging to comfort, but because she believed in the show itself. The chair beside her rotated again. Michael Strahan brought athletic swagger and warmth. After his departure, Ryan Seacrest stepped in with media-savvy polish. Each dynamic was different, each era distinct. Through it all, Kelly remained connective tissue, the perfect partner. In 2023, something shifted again. This time, there were no auditions, no rotating guests, no speculation. Mark Consuelos, her husband of decades, her former soap co-star, her longtime guest fill-in, became permanent co-host. The show was renamed again, Live with Kelly and Mark. For Kelly, it felt surreal. For years, she had struggled with comfort on live television. Mark? He walked in like he'd been born there. Where it took me 8 years, she laughs, it took him 8 days. Their dynamic was different from any before. Less performative, more intimate, occasionally chaotic in the way only a real marriage can be. But viewers responded. Because in a media world saturated with division, scandal, and 24-hour crisis cycles, there was something comforting about watching two people who genuinely liked each other start the day together. Burnout and boundaries. Kelly's career hasn't been just live. While hosting, she continued acting. She starred in Hope and Faith for 3 seasons. She explored production opportunities. She launched projects. At one point, offers flooded in. Big offers. Prestige roles. She turned many down. Why? Because she remembered why she took Live in the first place. It allowed her to be present. Morning show hours meant afternoons with her children. It meant school plays and dinner at home. There was a period of burnout when ambition threatened balance. She recalibrated. I'm always busy, she says. But I know why I'm here. The curiosity that fuels longevity. After 25 years, you'd think interviewing celebrities might become routine. It hasn't. The reason I've been able to maintain longevity, she explains, is because I assume the role of the person at home who is excited. She doesn't approach interviews as interrogations. She approaches them like conversations she genuinely wants to have. If Madonna is coming on, she's up the night before thinking about how not to embarrass herself. If it's a first-time author, she wants to know their childhood. If it's a chef, she's asking about their grandmother. That hunger for origin stories hasn't dulled. It's sharpened. The Oprah question. 25 years is a milestone with weight. Another daytime icon famously ended her show at the 25-year mark, Oprah Winfrey. Kelly called her. Should this be my signal? She asked. Oprah's answer? Don't leave. Right now you'll regret it. She told Kelly the show mattered, especially now. In a world filled with darkness, conflict, and non-stop news, morning television can be sanctuary. Light, laughter, worry-free viewing families can watch together. Kelly took that to heart. But she still jokes that she needs a specific number. Okay, you said not 25. But 27? 30? What are we thinking? Is there an end date? For someone who claims she never intended this to be long-term, 25 years feels astonishing. Even to her. When I tell you I never knew it was going to be a long-term thing, I'm still on the fence, she laughs. But she's clear about one thing. The show is bigger than any 2 hosts. Before her, it was Regis and Kathy Lee. Before Kathy Lee, Regis had others. After her, someone else will sit in that chair. I want to see this show stay on the air as long as linear TV lives, she says firmly. It's not about legacy ego. It's about stewardship. She sees herself as part of a lineage, not the end point. The 25-year morning. On February 20th, she celebrated her 25th anniversary. She posted photos. She thanked crew. She thanked viewers. But what struck long-time fans wasn't nostalgia. It was continuity. The same woman who nervously sat beside Regis in 2001 now sits comfortably beside her husband, still asking questions, still laughing, still leaning into the unknown. She may joke about retirement. She may call Oprah for advice. She may insist she doesn't plan to work forever. But for now, she's having fun. And if there's one rule she lives by, it's simple. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. The real origin story. Kelly Ripa's origin story isn't just about a psychic accidentally.